Hello there. It's time for a Let's Talk with TabathLove. That's L-E-T-S, Talk with TabathLove. And I'm with my special guest, my friend part two, Miss Kiesha Cousar. She is like, what is going on? This is our first time doing this. We are new friends here. God is doing a great thing. This year has been something else. What I said, this is a part two because we started our first session off. We were talking about grief, holiday grief. And I was sharing that my father passed away in March of 2025. And it's 2025 that we're taping this. Is in the end of the year or the latter part of the year in November. And Thanksgiving is right around the corner. And I was like, Kiesha, can you please talk to us about holiday grief? Okay. Because I've had different moments. I praise God for the healing. I thank God for all that you've sent to me and the help that you've encouraged me. But I'm still processing the loss of my father. It makes sense in my head, but I'm still processing. But more important, I don't know if I should say more importantly, but I've come across other people who it's not so much of a recent passing that they've had, but it's people that have been gone 5, 3, 10, 15, 20 plus years that I'm seeing either face-to-face contact or when I scroll through Facebook, people are still hurting. Yes. And the holidays with the songs, with the food, with the tradition, with the family gatherings, we still have to handle, process, deal with the passing of our loved one. Whether it's good or bad, it still brings back those emotions and triggers, and we have to handle that. And so I asked you to come today. I asked Miss Kiesha to come today because I wanted some official, and I wanted somebody that was legit, but with a biblical perspective. So she's a licensed professional clinician, but she's also a woman of God, led by the Spirit of God, that can drop some knowledge on us on how to handle. And so basically, one of the things she said in part one was that grief was not linear, meaning straight to an end. Some of us are just so simple with life that I don't want to bother nobody. I don't want nobody bothering me. I just want to live my life and just mind my business, let you live yours. Just let me just do point A to B. But sometimes life doesn't allow us to be that way. Sometimes life gets really complicated. Sometimes there's so much gray area, right? And so Miss Keisha's like, no, baby, grief doesn't operate that way. She's saying, oh, we're going to make an appointment to grieve. And then once we grieve for 3 hours, then we're done. You don't have to grieve anymore for 5 hours or 10 hours or 2 hours. She says, no, you have to live around grief. You have to grow and go through grief. And she says you have to ride the waves. Who wants to do that?
Let me tell you.
So she said all these things, and then she's dropping knowledges on strategies on how to handle grief. She gave us 3 P's. She said you got to pause, plan, and protect. And then she's telling us how to go through the holidays and look at the village and who you're around to know your capacity. She's dropping bomb at the boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, I'm going to have to replay this and listen to this, which is why I asked her to come. So now she's going to pick up. And she's going to tell us more about these strategies, more about processing through this grief and how to ride these waves and to grow through grief. Oh, wherever we left off, that's where she going to
Right. Okay. I will figure it out. We'll figure it out. Okay, so we left off talking about how it's not linear, and especially for people who like things to just be straight and not messy. Okay. And I dare to say type A personalities who like to check off the box. Check off the box. Can't check grief off is evidence that you have loved deeply and well. And so one of the things that really helps is being emotionally aware. So I have my notes here so I can make sure that you are able to write down these strategies and that you understand what does it mean to be able to ride the wave. And so when you think about how a wave comes, sometimes you don't know what's coming. You're in the water, you're a kid, you're playing, you're having a good time. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're knocked back. Like, whoa, what happened? That's how grief can happen. In a moment's notice, you're not prepared, i.e., always around the holidays, I've noticed this, but sometimes I try to say, oh, I got this. And every time, quick story, I go into my mom and dad where they used to live, They don't have as many stores. We had a mall, but Belk's was my mom's favorite store. She would go in Belk and stand around the cosmetic counter. And I thought, oh my goodness, let's go. As a little girl, I just remember these experiences. So when you go in Belk's in the holidays, you see all the older women with their nice Christmas sweaters on, etc. It's been 5 years now, so I would say year 2. I walked into Belk's thinking nothing. I was going to pick up something. I walk in and I noticed my breathing started changing. And I thought, what? At first, I didn't recognize, is this attached to grief? But I just realized, like, why am I?
Oh, wow.
And then I realized as I was shopping, I looked and there were women around the cosmetic counter, but I had seen them earlier. So my mind went to, this is what my mom used to do. So it was a memory. And that memory was a trigger. Okay. So it triggered then the smells and all the things. And I had to literally breathe. Like,
You didn't
deep.
cry?
I didn't cry, but I knew about the breathing. And so we're going to talk about that. I knew how important it was for me to take those long, deep breaths because I was beginning to associate the women around the counter, the people shopping with their moms, and there I was alone. I first had to what? Become aware and acknowledge. I had to acknowledge what I was feeling. A grief wave was about to take me over.
Right.
But I had to, number one, acknowledge what I was experiencing was a wave and that it was okay. And I needed to grab hold. I needed an anchor in that moment. If I tried to suppress it and act as though it wasn't happening, I would damage myself more.
Wow.
Okay. So while I was in that moment, I started practicing long, deep breaths so that I could ground myself with it's okay. I'm experiencing the loss of my mom. I'm experiencing how she and I used to enjoy the cosmetic counter. I'm experiencing the smells, the fragrance. And while that memory flooded me, I what's happening in those moments.
Right.
So if you experience a memory that is jarring, that may make you feel caught off guard, the number one thing you need to do is acknowledge it.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to acknowledge it. So here's a tool that I teach.
Okay.
It's called Name It, Normalize It, Navigate It.
Okay.
Name, normalize, navigate.
Okay.
So the 3 N's, you have to name, I feel overwhelmed. So when I was in the mall, in that moment, I felt overwhelmed because all the smells, the holiday songs, like all those things took me back to childhood, took me back to my own mom. So I named it. I feel overwhelmed. Okay. Next, you have to normalize it.
Okay.
Normalize saying quite naturally, Kiesha, it's okay you feel overwhelmed because you experienced this with your mom and you're seeing all these women. Okay, so then how do I navigate it? What am I going to do to get through it? I'm going to breathe deeply.
Okay.
And I'm going to call a friend. I'm going to choose a response that supports me instead of one that derails me.
Whoa.
I could have chosen a response to say, this is crazy. I could have acted out.
Right.
But I'm going to choose to respond versus react.
Okay.
So it's important that we always name, normalize, and navigate because otherwise we can be caught in the wave and we really could go under.
Okay. That's some good stuff.
That's friend.
Oh, so guys, all right. Can y'all breathe? Let me just breathe.
We have something for breathing. Yes.
So I'm pausing and she's looking at me like I'm crazy right now because I really want to go back. You said something, and when you said it, it hit me.
Okay.
And she said, failure to acknowledge will do more damage to yourself than moving forward. I'm taking it out of context. We want you to move forward. But she said, if you don't stop and this is my words and interpretation of what she said, but she said damage is more causes more failure to acknowledge. If you fail to acknowledge the grief, if you fail to acknowledge what you're feeling, if you fail to acknowledge that wave, that it'll do more damage than simply acknowledging it. That's
because you have to. I encourage you. I cannot express enough how important it is, because grief a lot of times causes you to identify, well, it causes you to come in contact with unhealed wounds that you never knew were just there. So because of the passing of a loved one, a lot of times there are hidden, it's almost like booby traps that you don't even know, landmines within your body, because your body keeps the score of what you have already experienced. So the trauma and the triggers are an imprint that it has stored in your body. So if you try to keep ignoring what you are, the wound that is there, the pain, all you're going to have to do is circle back around. You're going to have to go back around to get the healing that you need. And it has been easier for us to suppress and to ignore versus express, which is why I said you have to name it. You can't heal unless you feel. You have to feel. You have to sit with, I am disappointed today. I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to call home and speak to my loved one, and everybody left church and they're going to call their mom, and I can't call my mom. I have to sit with that. So I rather deal with it, to say it hurts. God, I'm sad. God, I'm angry. You're just as close to me, God, in terms of me being the brokenhearted. You don't just come around when I'm cheerful. Your word says that you will come and see about me.
right. He heals the broken
He
heart.
does.
And he's closer
Crushed in
than a
spirit. That's right.
brother. And it is just, he is there. He's a very present help in a time of trouble. And he's right there.
But do we call on him? See, that's the thing. That's the thing. See, we can know the word, we can say the word, but in the middle, this I can't impress upon you enough. While grief is such a painful journey, it's also a journey for you to get to know Jesus intimately, to be able to literally lay down, cast in all of your cares upon him. That word becomes a true and living word, not just in the Bible, but it's a living word that you are literally calling upon him. God, I need you right now. This is a situation where I can't breathe, and being transparent with the Father, not acting like, oh, I'm okay. It's okay. No, God, I'm hurting. I'm angry.
Because that's what happens, I think, in the church world. I feel like there's these polar opposites, because from a church perspective, you have all these people that are so spiritual where they slap the scriptures on you. Oh, cast all your cares upon him. That's what you're talking about, because he cares for you. He loves you, and he's close to the brokenhearted, and there's a balm in Gilead. And it's like there's no hurt that he can't heal, and all of this stuff, and he gives you peace to comfort you. And so it's like they throw all the scriptures, and yes, you're a believer, and yes, you believe him, and yes, you believe his word, but if they act as if, and maybe this is just me, but sometimes you act as if I'm not supposed to feel. No, you act as if I'm not supposed to hurt, if I'm not supposed to feel a loss, or to feel this emptiness on the inside. And then on the other side, where you from that worldly part, or you go through all this counseling, you go through this grief, and they take God out of it. And it's like they try to get you to go all in your feelings and to go all in your emotions, and they tell you all these strategies, but then they take God out of that. No. And it's just, can I have both? You can. Can I understand how I can have a scripture and I can have a God that says it's okay, and then can I still feel that without me being less than?
Yes, you can have both. He expects us. He expects us to come and lay it all down to him. It's not all or nothing. It's all and something.
So you're saying that I can be saved, I can have a deep, personal, one-on-one, close, tight relationship with the Lord and still experience loss?
Absolutely.
And have an emptiness on the inside?
You're human. And so was our Father. Yes. Yes. He wants you to bring that to him. It doesn't mean that you're less than. You can be holy and still need healing.
That part.
You still can. You still can serve him and still need deliverance. It's not just that you are not, you can be in the world, but not of the world. He wants us to bring it to him. If you were completely in the world, think about this. The world may say, girl, just go get you a drink.
Right.
Let me just numb it away. I'm just going to numb it and I'm going to suppress it and I'm going to hide it. I'm going to drink it away. I'm going to smoke it away. I'm going to sex it away.
And it doesn't work.
And I'm going to do all these things to just push it down. But God is saying, no, bring it to me. Bring all your pain to me. Cast everything to me. Your pain, your hurt, your disappointment. You feel rejection, the grief, the anger, everything, your hostility. You're mad with me. Bring it to me and let me heal you.
Wow.
Isn't that so much better? Because then you'll be made whole versus you being drunk somewhere and not whole.
Jesus. Do y'all hear that? Today we are talking about, this is Let's Talk with TabathLove, and I have a wonderful guest here, my new friend, Miss Kiesha, and she's talking about holiday grief. And she's taking us through not just the holiday grief, but just grief in and of itself, helping us to understand what grief is and how to handle grief and different strategies and different approaches and just honestly paradigms, new mind concepts on how to handle grief. What is this thing called grief? What does it look like? Because many of us, as she said, we haven't even been trained on grief. We don't know about grief until after it's time.
That's right.
And when something happens. And many times the Bible talks about being prepared. Jesus said, I'm going to prepare a place for you. That's what he said. And then there's another part in the Bible that talks about a good father prepare for the grandchildren and leaves an inheritance for the grandchildren. And so it's like a preparedness. Why are we not talking about
That's so good.
grief? Why are we not preparing? It's a natural part of life. And quite honestly, every time I would have to go to a funeral and somebody in our family would pass away, or I'd be connected to somebody and there would be a funeral, almost every time, it made me think about my dad and my mom. What you said about your dad and your mom. And I would call and say, hey, how you doing? I just went to a funeral. I just thought of you and I just wanted to touch base because it triggered my heart. Yes. And I'd call my mama. And then I would often have conversations with my dad. I said, hey, listen here, man. And my dad and I, we would talk like that. I said, listen here. I said, let me ask you something. Do you have your stuff in order?
Yeah.
Because so many people would die without life insurance. So many people would die without a will. So many people would die without a plan. And I literally would say to my dad, hey, man, you got your stuff in order? And I said, I don't want to be looking crazy if something happens to you. Do you have your stuff laid out to where you get to decide what happens to it? Because I don't want to walk up and something happen to you. And I'm thinking this, and then I get a whammy. He passed away in March, and I got a whammy. So then you're dealing with the grief, the loss, and then now you're dealing with all this other stuff.
So when you think about grief, there's so many compartments. Grief is so complex. And when I lost both of my parents, it's called complex grief. It's not just one singular thing. Because I lost both of them together. So all of that complexity, while we look at losing the loved one, there's that whole business aspect where some people are not able to immediately just grieve the loss of their parent, their significant other, their loved one, because they have to take care of the affairs of the loss of the loved one. The complex aspects of grief can really take someone out, because while you're dealing with, I'm not able to physically see anyone.
I'm sorry to interrupt. That happens regardless. When a person passes away in the hospital, they pass away. And as soon as they're gone, they're talking about, you got to make decisions on where's the body going. You got to call the funeral home. You got to have the program. You got to have the program. You have to pick out clothes.
But I will say, because we're having this conversation, just like I shared with you, my graduate school project was called Preparation of the Inevitable. The more we have conversations like this, it lets people know to get their affairs in order. None of it I have to worry about, because literally when I was, I guess, a little girl, my mom and dad had already taken care of everything. Wow. So those details can be taken care of, but are we having the conversation? Are we having conversations like this where you can go to your parents and say, wait, what do you want
Right.
when this happens? Because it is inevitable. It's going to happen. We can't ignore and act like it's not.
Either Jesus is coming back, we're going to die.
So do you have your affairs
Right.
together? So after you do all of the ceremonial things, then you have to come back
And deal with the emotions. Like once that person passes away and you put them in the ground, then all that business side settles to a degree.
to a degree.
To a degree. You still have to look at your emotions. And that's what I'm saying. Some people are 5, 10, maybe all the estate stuff is handled. And they're looking at the emotions. It's still there. And it's not that they're not living their life. It's not that they haven't moved on. It's just triggers.
And what does move on look like? And so when people say move on, I don't know if you saw my face, but it was just like, move on. To compare my grief journey with your grief journey, I'm going to do a disservice to myself. I cannot. It is subjective. It's mine. My journey is my journey. I can share with you some experiences that I had, but no two people's grief journey is going to be exact the same, because what you experienced and what's in you, I can't predetermine. You can prepare certain things, but when those waves come or those emotions come, how do you regulate yourself when those emotions come versus react? Here we go.
I'm going to pause that real quick. But basically what you just touched on leads into comparison, which then can lead into self-esteem, which can lead into being whole and being comfortable in your own skin. Because if I start comparing my journey to your journey, and then I'm going to start to be depressed because I should be here, that unrealistic expectation. So it's where it's a grief, but then the grief morphs into something else. And then it leads down this horrible trail that God is not in. And that's why I wanted to have you talk, because I want us to be whole through the holidays. I want us to be able to go through the holidays, exalting God, rejoicing in God, celebrating the peace without a whole this stuff, and being able to love our loved ones that are left, that are here present. And so where we don't get caught up into the foolishness of the stuff that doesn't really matter.
And having false expectations. You have to be kind to yourself during your grief process. There's no race. There's no, who do you have to prove something to other than to loving yourself? And how do I regulate? So I want to make sure that I give you this acronym to help you regulate your emotions versus reacting. Okay. So how do I regulate? Here are practical ways for you to regulate. The acronym BREATHE. Okay. So let's write this down. Breathe intentionally. The B is for breathing intentionally. Okay. What does that mean? You have to inhale for 4. Let's do this together.
Okay, we got 2 minutes.
Oh, mighty God.
You gotta hurry up.
Inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6.
Got it.
Okay, we don't have time.
No.
R, relax your body.
Okay.
You got to relax your body. E, evaluate the moment. Like, what's really going on in this moment? I feel there's a sense of I am overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated. What's happening? All right. A, acknowledge what you feel. Don't lie to yourself. Woo. Be real. Acknowledge what you feel. T, take a pause. Take a pause. You don't have to respond. For that cousin that comes in and says something slick all the time, you don't have to respond. Okay. H, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Change your environment. If you need to step outside, if you need to go do whatever you need to do so that you're taking care of your body. Okay. E, engage your values. What do you mean? What matters to you? Your values, not the values of other people. If we can take off what other people expect, that's freedom in there. There's liberty in there. And love yourself. Since you always told me I had 2 minutes.
All right. Guys, I hope you were blessed by that, because honestly, I took notes. Okay. And I'm like, I had to replay this and replay this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for allowing God to share through you. Do you have anything else you want to share? Real quick.
Nah.
Drum roll.
Listen, grief is a journey. Okay? Honor the waves that will come. It's not will they come. Ride the wave and know that it's temporary. Love yourself through and know that God will meet you in the wave and on the other side of the wave.
Wow. That's good stuff right there, man. Hit this lady up right here. Give him
Come
your-
see me. So if you are in a space where you need to just personally grow as a woman or a girl, or you have a daughter, KieshaLCousar.com. I do personal growth coaching. If you are in a space where you need therapy, her well-being psychological services for all things therapy, anxiety, depression, you name it, come see us as well.
This lady right here is the real deal. I tell you, it's a blessing. I'm sorry I took so much time talking, but I had to set some things up. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank
Let's
you.
Talk with Tabitha Love. Visit my website, www.TabathaLove, TabathaLove.com. And then you'll see this broadcast on my website. It'll show up on the YouTube channel and you can watch it. I'll have her information in the info section there. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Praise to the Max Internet Gospel radio station. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. Just know that you can go through the holidays without being stressed, without being in, what's the word? Being in, but grief doesn't have to take you over.
That's
I think one of the things that we didn't really say is that grief is normal.
It is.
It's not something that you got to be ashamed of. It's just how to handle it.
That's right.
And hopefully you listened to the part 1 to the part 2. I also did another section of grief earlier, and I talked about grief with my other good friend. Why? Because you can't get it all in one time. And you need different people to speak into you. So just listen to God, grow with God, keep moving forward, and don't you let anything hold you back. Be blessed. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.